Thanks for being with me today. When you're feeling sad or angry or upset, do you look at those emotions as a negative? Maybe you see feeling happy or joyful as positive. What about if you could use those negative emotions as a form of healing or growth? Psychology consultant and author Dr. Jo Lukens is with me now. Good morning.
Good morning, Susan.
So why do people label certain emotions as bad or negative?
I think one of the main reasons that people label their emotions as bad is because they're uncomfortable and they generally get in our way and they disrupt our daily life. So there's no doubt that we'd probably seek out joy before we'd seek out frustration. But I think when we do that and we label it as bad or negative, we miss some of the opportunity that every emotion carries information about our needs or our environment. So it's worth paying attention to how we describe the emotions that we experience.
Okay, very interesting. So how do emotions like frustration or loneliness contribute to our personal growth?
One way to look at them is when you're experiencing an emotion like frustration or feeling an emotion like loneliness, to look at it almost like it's a catalyst for change. So it's a signal. It's a signal that something needs to shift in our lives or something about us is being challenged. So if I'm feeling frustrated, it might be that I need to do something differently to ease the frustration, if you like. And if I'm feeling lonely, then that's usually a prompt that I'm looking for connection in some way that is in some way absent in my life. So it's really good feedback for us, helpful feedback for us, that then we can take action that will make more positive changes in our...
So it's more of a prompt rather than, we should see it more as a prompt rather than the alternative. What are some of the risks of repressing or ignoring uncomfortable emotions?
Yeah, one of those challenges is when we pretend we're not feeling an emotion or we push it to the back of our mind, which is a phrase we often use. What that often does for us is it increases our stress levels. It means that it's harder for us to become aware of some of the emotions that we're experiencing, and it lowers our resilience. So then when we're in a state where we're doing that, we're less aware, we're less resilient, we're more stressed, then we tend to do the less healthy coping mechanisms and make poorer decisions. So all in all, it doesn't go so well together. And like you said, if we can see some of these feelings as a catalyst for change or a trigger, we don't get stuck in the emotions. It enables us, I guess, more quickly to move on from them.
You're hearing from psychology consultant and author Dr. Jo Lukens. So talking of emotional regulation, how does that help us in everyday life?
Yeah, so emotional regulation is really important for all of us because as humans, we're pretty simple creatures. We do things, we think things, and we feel things. There's basically three elements to us: our doing self, our thinking self, and our feeling self. So when we're able to regulate our emotions, it makes sense, doesn't it, that we become more aware and we feel like we're a bit more in control of our lives, which I think for a lot of people is an important thing. So when we can regulate our emotions, so what that means is, let's say I'm feeling frustrated, but I've got some little tips and tricks in my tool belt to pull out and help me manage the frustration, then I become less reactive. I feel like I'm more in control of what I'm doing. And certainly in terms of the relationships I'm in, it improves those. I make better decisions and I feel like I've got a lot more self-control.
It's all very interesting, isn't it? So in terms of importance of emotions, are positive emotions more important than negative ones?
They both have their place. I think that's the way I like to look at them. I will always prefer to feel some of those emotions we often describe as being positive. I'd rather be full of joy and gratitude and contentment rather than some of their counterparts. But we know that the reality of our lives is it's a rich tapestry of all of the emotions, and they certainly help to signal to us the things that are important to us in our lives and those things that are less important. So I think they both have their place. We do know that when we can put ourselves in a place where we feel better within ourselves, we feel joy, we feel positivity, we feel hope, all of those kinds of feelings, it helps us in achievement settings. We do know that from the research, but we do know that life is full of ups and downs, and so the emotions are going to go with that. So sometimes it's less about what happens to us and more about how we manage it that becomes really important.
What's your message, let's just finish off on this, to listeners who fear experiencing those strong or challenging emotions?
Yeah, I get that. It makes sense because, again, they are something we prefer to avoid. We do want to lean away from the discomfort. But I think the way I think about it is that every emotion is a signal or an opportunity that there's something that I can be working on. And the other good thing is that when the emotions are really strong and intense, there'll be someone there that can help you. So if you're finding it hard to manage it yourself, all the various helplines, perhaps going to see a doctor, going to spend time with a trusted friend, there's plenty of people out there that can help navigate through the emotional times. So know that you don't need to be alone as you go through it.
Psychology consultant Dr. Jo Lukens, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you. I hope that you do have a joyful day, because I think a lot of us do prefer to have those joyful and grateful type emotions.